again, everyone, and welcome to another episode of RVBusiness Capitol Talk, sponsored by Eric Sell. He's Sherman Goldenberg, and I'm Rick Kessler, and we've got three very respected dealers with us today, and I'm going to use my notes so I get it right. Brian Wilkins, Wilkins RV, headquartered in New York with 7 locations. David Skogebo, Worldwide RV in Arizona, 3 locations. John North, Lazydays RV, headquartered in Florida, but 23 locations pretty much all across the country. And then last but not least, Mark Rosenbaum from Mike Thompson RV, 4 locations in Southern California. How'd I do?
Great. Perfect.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. We're talking to you on the eve of open house, but this won't be posted until afterwards. So maybe the best question we could ask right now is, we're on the tail end of summer. How's the retail market shaping up for y'all? David, we could start with you.
Okay. Retail market is definitely tougher than it's been. We got kind of spoiled, I'd say. And it just slowly gets a little harder and a little harder. You have to just market better and price better is kind of where we're at right now to try to continue to hit our volume goals.
Brian?
Yeah, I would agree exactly with what David's saying. It's certainly a tougher market. I think it's been consistently tough throughout the course of the year. I don't feel like we've seen ups and downs throughout the course of the year. I think it's been pretty consistent. Promotion is huge right now. Picking the right units to put that special price on is critical. The 22s were kind of an interesting dynamic. I mean, they gave us the opportunity to promote, but they certainly didn't give us the opportunity to promote at margin. So, as we move into 24 and we start to replace those with 24s, and we start to see some of the more attractive pricing that's on those 24s. I think that's maybe one of the bright spots as we head into next year.
Okay. Mark, how about you? How's the California market treating you?
Just on the coattails of David and Brian, it's kind of the same story here in Southern California. It's not a surprise that our market has returned to a more normal RV market than what we have seen in the prior 3 years. It's been, COVID's been for over a year now. So, in navigating through this, we have some challenges. Pricing is one of those challenges. Your salespeople and some of the basic things that they do prior to COVID, which was using their CRM and their follow-up and stuff. They have to return to some of those basics. So even though the market's challenging, I do believe, in my opinion, there's a lot of people on the shelf. They're on the shelf, and you got to give them a reason to give them a reason to get off that shelf and get into your dealerships and make their decision to purchase, whether it's pricing, whether it's the right product, whether it's whatever that might be. But you really do have to stay in contact with your customer. Challenging, absolutely. It's just different. You have to navigate different times, right? So,
John, do you see much difference between your different locations depending on where they're at as far as that market's concerned?
We do. Certainly, it's been a challenging year, as everybody said. If you take our footprint, we've got stores in South Florida and Arizona, and then all the way up into Wisconsin and Minneapolis area. So, including a store in Elkhart, which everybody can go see at open house. But certainly we see some reverse seasonality. So the summer is typically stronger up north, and then now we're kind of in the shoulder between both. I wouldn't say we're at the tail end of the summer season for the warmer or for the cold market climates, and we haven't yet gotten into the selling season in the Sun Belt, but that's coming. The only other thing I might add is just, I think motorized held in better over the last 12 months than the towable side. But it seems like motorized has decelerated over the summer as some of the supply chain has really freed up there as well. So that's probably one other little nuance we've experienced.
Related to all that, what's your sense of the retail market? I mean, beyond cash and carry, beyond how many units you sold last week, what's the pulse long term from what you see today? Any one of you, speak up, please.
What do you mean by that? What are you saying? Are you saying that what is it going to look like in 6 months from now, in our opinion? Are you saying or versus today, or what are you saying there?
Well, I'm not asking when you think they're going to buy, but whether you feel that market that was cultivated during the pandemic, even more so, is still strong, that the resident buyers are still with us whenever they choose to purchase.
I can tell you for us, we do a weekly meeting and we look at a lot of the with our marketing crew, and we look at the response from some of the terms that they use on the internet to navigate or search for RV products, RV motorhomes, trailers, what have you, and that stays strong. It's been staying strong. It's been strong for a solid 3 or 4 years now, all the way through the pandemic. Obviously it got stronger, and so it's not to pandemic numbers, but it's still very strong when you look at it and you compare it to 2019 and 2018. So I would tell you that for us, I believe the market's strong. I think there's a lot of people that are got a lot of pent up buying demand that are sitting on the shelf, waiting for a reason to come off that shelf and buy an RV. Now, whether that's 3 months from now, 6 months from now, if that's when the interest rate's lower, I don't know. I don't know that, but I do know that in my mind, you're not going to change the amount of RVs that you're going to sell. You're just going to change when and where they buy them. So.
Anybody else like to add to that?
The only thing I'd add is just, I think affordability, is something that consumers are going to need to work through. For a couple of years, people paid MSRP or maybe more and had a pretty attractive interest rate. And now they're looking at trying to deal with a trade-in and heavily discounted 22s or maybe even some discounted 23s now. And I think people have some equity situations that can be challenging at times. And so my suspicion is, it's going to take some period of time into next year for that to continue to work through and for people to socialize to a 7 or 8% interest rate handle kind of to start with in terms of any kind of financing options. So it's going to take time, but I mean, there's still fundamental demand there. It's just, I don't think we're back to normal, and I guess we'll see what the election does to people's mindset next year.
But I'm curious, maybe Brian too.
Yeah. A couple things I'll add to that one.
Good.
And it's certainly, I think, one of the topics that you can talk out of both sides of your mouth on. From an encouraging standpoint, we don't feel that we've seen an exodus from the industry, from those, or from the lifestyle, from those who bought during COVID. On the concern side, I would agree with what John's saying about the equity that many of these folks have in their vehicle and what's going to be their ability to trade out. They bought at a time when interest rates were low, and they paid and they financed in a lot of cases MSRP. And now they're looking at an environment where they for the next few years where to trade out of that, they're going to have that negative equity. They're going to have higher interest rates. And one of the concerns that crossed my mind is, if these people are forced to be in their unit for 8, 9, 10 years, after that 8, 9, 10 years, they say, all right, that's enough, I'm done. And I don't need to camp anymore. Maybe their experience isn't as good because they didn't get that new unit 5 years in like you typically would. So the experience is constantly staying fun, and I've got a new RV and it's fresh and all of that. So that's a concern. And then the Hershey show last week. I mean, traffic levels at the Hershey show were as low as they've been since 2013. So why as an industry has our interest in our products gone backwards 10 years? I think that's something to look at and to be concerned with. So, I don't want to be negative. I love this industry and I want to see it thrive, but there's, as a businessman looking over the next 5-10 years, I think there's some concerns. I think there's some concerns.
David?
Yeah, I think with just like Mark was saying, I think people need a reason. And when that reason is there, interest rates, we're all getting accustomed to high interest rates, which was low in the 90s. We all remember it, right? We were fine with these interest rates. and now it's
Go back to the 80s, just so you know.
okay.
First house at 15.99.
Yeah.
Deal.
Exactly. So we're all getting accustomed to it. Gas can pop up to $5 and it's not the number one news story anymore. You know what I'm saying? That would like decimate us when gas would go up 30 cents, right? We'd be crushed for 2 weeks so people are just getting so used to these numbers. As soon as we give some good information, like a little bit lower interest rate, a little bit, they all have some cash. This is not like the recession where just nobody had cash. There was just no cash.
Yeah.
And I think everybody has cash. Dealers have cash. We're all pretty, we're in a good spot. It's much, much different than 19.
I think there's some of the banks too are responding to, they held steady the rate yesterday, and some of the banks are responding to that. And we're getting over the emails this morning that some of them are lowering their rates. So, I think that we're going to see some of that over the next couple of weeks at least, and certainly this final quarter of the year. That's going to probably impact the customer saying, "Hey, I think maybe now's the time." Give them a reason. Just give them a reason. Get off that couch and get in and buy the dealership. Now they're either going to buy now, in my opinion, or they're going to buy the first quarter of next year. I don't think they've gone away from the market. I think they've just postponed their buying decision. So. Anyway.
In line with that, somebody used the word normal. So what the heck do you think it'll take to get back to something of that nature called normal? What and when? What?
Oh yeah, get the crystal balls out.
Yep.
Well, I hate to say it, but the economists called for a soft landing, right? And that 18 months ago they called for this. And holy crap, are they right? That's never happened, right? It's kind of feeling like a soft landing.
Yeah, I'm not sure that this might not be normal, Sherm. We don't feel that the 24 market's going to be materially different from the 23 market. We do think that if rates start to come down the second half of 24, that you can start to see the market increase going into 25, 26 going forward. But I guess you can kind of go back to what was the incline as we came out of 08, 09. There was a gradual incline over 3, 4, 5, 6 years, right? And I think that's probably what we're anticipating is that this is normal, but the market can grow incrementally over the 5, 6 years as we come out of this.
So look, maybe a follow-up question to everything we're talking about right now, the economy, the market, everything. How are you guys setting your inventory through the rest of this year and maybe even your plans for next year? Are we still sitting on 22s and 23s, or have you been able to move those for the most part?
So I can go first on that one. We're just about out of 22s. So we're 5 selling locations. I think we have 12 22s left. So we're basically out of our 22s. And we've been in that position for we've been under 50 for 60 days now. So, it's just the stragglers now that we're working through. And at that point, that's when we flipped to focusing on 23s. And we're, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we probably have more 24s than we have 23s at this point. So, that's fixed. We feel that we've right-sized our inventory and we have our inventory balanced for where it needs to be, based on the new sales volume. Actually, our inventory might be 5 to 10% below where it needs to be. So we feel we're in a position where as we sell, we can order.
Okay.
Who else wants to add to that? I've got a question if you don't, but who else wants to add to that?
Well, I think, we never had a problem with 22s here. 23s were split 50-50 right now with 24s. So we're rolling right in how we should on the inventory. I just, I think it really caused us to partner with our manufacturers and say, okay, here's what we're going to do. Here's where the stats are. Let's get these numbers. Let's do this much a month. Where historically been disconnected with them, where it's like, oh, ship me a bunch of stuff. Oh crap, I got to stop ordering.
Yeah.
We've been coming along next to each other and saying, okay, I can do 25 of this a month. You know what I'm saying? And let's do, let's get that pipeline going. And if after 2 months we're missing that target, we adjust. You know what I mean? So we're adjusting as the market happens because there is no normal. So we're not looking at 19 as the normal, which most people are doing, but we're looking at what's just happened the last 2 months. And are we over in turn? Are we staying on our 3 turn? And I'm involving all my reps. They know exactly what we're selling. We go over the stat surveys when they come out. Are we losing market share? Are we keeping up? You know what I mean? And so it's been a lot more analytical and not just the good old boys RV club ordering.
Yeah, I would say analytical and strategic, right? I mean,
Mhm.
that's where you are right now. I mean, fortunately for us, we hardly have, I think we have 3 2022s that are trailers. So, I mean, just virtually no 22 inventory, but strategically going the other way, I mean, you've got to look at, to David's point, you've got to look at where you are currently with your sales every month, whether it's trailers or whether it's motorhomes, and really on how you replenish that. And you're in the last quarter of the year. So, I mean, it becomes a huge strategic process when you look at it. You can't do the good old boy and say, hey, well, send me 25 of this, 25 of 30. You really kind of got to dial it down to the hottest selling floor plans, what's selling, what's not, and really strategically make sure that you've got the best selling stuff on your lot. So I think we all know that, but it's been very difficult to strategically get that implanted, even though I think we're all working pretty close with our manufacturers, but some of those guys built and some of them overbuilt, and so they've got their own strategic plans that they're trying to push forward too as well. So it's not an easy task by any means, but for sure it's something that you have to stay on top of because your inventory will kill you.
I've got 2 buttons I want to push. I want to make sure we get John in on these questions too. But what product trends are you seeing out there, motorized and towable? I hear a kind of a surge of comments about small towables. Is that in fact a significant product trend right now? Small towable?
It is because Camping World's kicking out that 1495 Coleman. I mean, that's it right there. I mean, they went from no sales of Coleman's in last year to it's the #1 selling in the market is that little Coleman. You know what I mean? So they've really set that tone there. I think people want a little bigger than that little 1599, but they got I don't know, what was it the last check? I mean, they got 8,000 of them on the ground,
Good point. Brian, you got something on product trends?
I don't think so. I think I don't feel we're seeing anything different from what we've seen in the past.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Okay. All right. Let me, Rick, did you want to insert something before I go with my one more?
No, I was just gonna ask John if he had any product trends that he's seeing, especially maybe on the motorized side. are the snowbirds coming down your way yet? Are they starting to stop off and look at the motorhomes?
We're getting ready. So we'll obviously have the Super Show in Tampa in January, which is our big event for the Florida market. Nice to see some new price points come out of Airstream on the B vans. They came out with the SE, which is, you know, a lower priced unit. I think affordability is driving a lot of that. We're looking at some of the entry level towable product to be competitive with some of the price points that David mentioned. And then on the used side, you know, we bring in good attractive used stuff. We're still seeing pretty healthy margin on that, and the turns are really, really good. So for me, I think it's just affordability questions. You're trying to help people, you know, fit the lifestyle and the product into what they're looking for. And so I think that's driving some things downstream. And then we've obviously seen pricing on 24s is better by 10+% as supply chains have eased, and they've seen some decontenting and the different things that our OEM partners are doing to work with affordability and to try to get back some of the inflation that we saw the last couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah, I personally think what John is saying is dead on. The manufacturers, I'm seeing them be the most strategic that they have been in a long time within developing new products, making them fit a price point that's very desirable. To John's point, I mean, our partners, they're God bless them. I mean, they're coming back and they're getting innovative, and that's really a cool thing to see, because it really makes a difference in each one of our market areas.
Yeah.
It's hitting price points that need to be and it's targeted, so it's a rifle shot. It's perfect, you know.
Good.
I'd like to touch on consolidation real quickly before we close out. You want to talk about a trend that's been real consistently emerging. And I'm looking partly at John at the bottom there. 25 stores was that? Do I have that correct? Huh?
Close. I think it's 23 officially, but we'll have some more to add hopefully in short order.
So you know, this thing's big. This is not just something that people talk about. Well, do you see this continuing at a similar pace, all four of you?
There's a lot obviously happening in the marketplace, and you know, my background before being in this industry was in automotive and consolidating dealer groups in the car business, and it's really not any different in terms of the story, right? This is someone's life's work. It's typically a family business or locations, and at some point it's time for someone for a life reason or for retirement or for family reasons or otherwise. They need to make a decision on what to do with their business. And, you know, I think we aspire to be an acquirer of choice. You know, we're a public company, we're durable. You know, there's not an ownership group that needs to monetize. It's all public shareholders. And so we become a preferred purchaser, I hope. And, you know, people know they can call Lazy Days and we're going to stick to our word, and the check's always good. So, you know, I think that gives a lot of certainty for people who are looking for an exit and who they want to partner with. And we've been fortunate in that we've been getting some phone calls as well, and stay tuned. Hopefully we'll have some things to announce here in the next few months, quarters, years.
Very good, very good, very good. Who else may have a comment on that?
Well, I tell you what, seeing as how the silence is deafening, let's close it out. Gentlemen, want to thank you very much for your time. Look forward to seeing you next week, and if not next week, out in Vegas.
Well, thank you, Rick.
Okay, thank you, Rick.
Can't thank you enough, guys. Can't thank you enough for
Thanks.
helping us out.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.